Okay.
Okay. All right. Hello out there in video land. Today we're continuing with The Merchant of Venice, and we are going to be going over Act 2, Scene 2, which actually we read in the previous meeting, but we decided to go back and reread it and take a closer look at what's going on there. And with that being done, the roles are divided up. And I guess I will go ahead and go. The scene is Venice, a street. Enter Lancelot Gobbo.
And then we have Lancelot Gobbo the Younger, I'm guessing. Is that correct, Duncan? Am I starting?
You're starting and with Lancelot.
Perfect, thank you. Certainly my conscience will serve me to run from this Jew, my master. The friend is at mine elbow and tempts me, saying to me, Gobbo, Lancelot, Gobbo, good Lancelot, a good Gobbo, a good Lancelot, Gobbo. Use your legs, take the start, run away. My conscience says no. Take heed, honest Lancelot, take heed, honest Gobbo. Or as aforesaid, honest Lancelot Gobbo, do not run, scorn running with thy heels. Well, the most courageous friend bids me pack. Via, says the friend, away, says the friend. For the heavens rouse up a brave mind, says the friend, and run. Well, my conscience, hanging about the neck of my heart, says very wisely to me, my honest friend Lancelot, being an honest man's son, or rather an honest woman's son, for indeed my father did something smack, something grow to. He had a kind of taste. Well, my conscience says, Lancelot, budge not. Budge, says the friend. Budge not, says my conscience. Conscience, says I, you counsel well. Friend, says I, you counsel well, to be ruled by my conscience. I should stay with the Jew, my master, who, God bless the mark, is a kind of devil. And to run away from the Jew, I should be ruled by the friend who, saving your reverence, is the devil himself. Certainly the Jew is the very devil incarnate. And in my conscience is but a kind of hard conscience, to offer to counsel me to stay with the Jew. The friend gives the more friendly counsel. I will run, friend, my heels are at your command. I will run.
Enter old Gobbo with a basket. Master, young man, you, I pray you, which is the way to the master Jew?
O heavens, this is my true begotten father, who being more than sand blind, high gravel blind, knows me not. I will try confusions with him.
Master, young gentleman, I pray you, which is the way to master Jews?
Turn up on your right hand at the next turning, but at the next turning of all on your left marry. At the very next turning, turn of no hand, but turn down indirectly to the Jew's house.
By God's Santies, 'twill be a hard way to hit. Can you tell me whether one Lancelot that dwell with him or no?
Talk you of young Master Lancelot. Mark me now, now will I raise the waters. Talk you of young Master Lancelot.
No, master, sir, but a poor man's son. His father, though I say it, is an honest, exceeding poor man, and God be thanked, well to live.
Well, let his father be what it will. We talk of young Master Lancelot.
Your worship's friend, and Lancelot, sir.
But I pray you, ergo, old man, ergo, I beseech you, talk you of young Master Lancelot.
Of Lancelot, and it please your mastership.
Ergo, Master Launcelot, talk not of Master Launcelot, father, for the young gentleman, according to fates and destinies, and such odd sayings, the sisters three, and such branches of learning, is indeed deceased, or as you would say in plain terms, gone to heaven.
Marry, God forbid, the boy was the very staff of my age, my very prop.
Do I look like a cudgel or a hovel post, a staff or a prop? Do you know me, father?
Alack the day, I know you not, young gentleman. But I pray you tell me, is my boy, God rest his soul, alive or dead?
Do you not know me, father?
Alack, sir, I'm sand blind. I know you not.
Nay, indeed, if you had your eyes, you might fail of the knowing me. It is a wise father that knows his own child. Well, old man, I will tell you news of your son. Give me your blessing. Truth will come to light. Murder cannot be hid long. A man's son may, but at the length truth will out.
Pray you, sir, stand up. I am sure you are not Lancelot, my boy.
Pray you, let's have no more fooling about it, but give me your blessing. I am Lancelot, your boy that was, your son that is, your child that shall be.
I cannot think you are my son.
I know not what I shall think of that, but I am Lancelot, the Jew's man, and I'm sure, Marjorie, your wife is my mother.
Her name is Marjorie indeed. I'll be sworn if thou be Lancelot. Thou art mine own flesh and blood. Lord worshipped might he be. What a beard hast thou got? Thou hast got more hair on thy chin than Dobbin my fill horse has in his tail.
It should seem then that Dobbin's tail grows backward. I am sure he had more hair of his tail than I have of my face when I last saw him.
Lord, how art thou changed? How dost thou and thy master agree? I have brought him a present. How agree you now?
Well, but for mine own part, as I have set up my rest to run away, so I will not rest till I have run some ground. My master is a very Jew. Give him a present, give him a halter. I am famished and his servant. You may tell every finger I have at my ribs. Father, I am glad you are come. Give me your present to one Master Bassanio, who indeed gives rare new liveries, if I serve not him. I will run as far as God has any ground. O rare fortune, here comes the man. To him, Father, for I am a Jew if I serve the Jew any longer.
Enter Bassanio with Leonardo and a follower or two. You may do so, but let it be so hasted that supper be ready at the farthest by 5 o'clock. See these letters delivered, put the liveries to the making, and desire Gratiano to come anon to my lodging.
To him, Father.
God bless your worship.
Gramercy, Gramercy, wouldst thou aught with me?
Here's my son, sir, a poor boy.
Not a poor boy, sir, but the rich Jew's man's, that would, sir, as my father shall specify.
He had a great infection, sir, as one would say, to serve.
Indeed, the short and the long is, I serve the Jew and have a desire, as my father shall specify.
His master and he, saving your worship's reverence, are scarce cater cousins.
To be brief, the very truth is that the Jew, having done me wrong, doth cause me, as my father being, I hope an old man shall fructify unto you.
I have here a dish of doves that I would bestow upon your worship, and my suit is.
In very brief, the suit is impertinent to myself, as your worship shall know, by this honest old man. And though I say it, though old man, yet poor man, my father.
One speak for both? What would you?
Serve you, sir.
That is the very defect of the matter, sir.
I know thee well. Thou hast obtained thy suit. Shylock thy master spoke with me this day, and hath preferred thee, if it be preferment to leave a rich Jew's service, to become the follower of so poor a gentleman.
The old proverb is very well parted between my master Shylock and you, sir. You have the grace of God, sir, and he hath enough.
But speak it well. Go farther with thy son, take leave of thy old master, and inquire my lodging out. Give him a livery, more guarded than his fellows. See it done.
Father, I cannot get a service. No, I have never a tongue in my head. Well, if any man in Italy have a fairer table which thou offer to swear upon a book, I shall have good fortune. Go to. Here's a simple line of life. Here's a small trifle of wives. Alas, 15 wives is nothing. 11 widows and 9 maids is a simple coming in for one man, and then to escape drowning thrice, and to be in peril of my life with the edge of a feather bed. Here are simple scrapes. Well, if fortune be a woman, he's a good wrench for this gear. Father, come, I'll take my leave of the Jew in the twinkling of an eye.
And I pray thee, good Leonardo, think on this. These things being bought and orderly bestowed, return in haste, for I do feast tonight. My best esteemed acquaintance, hie thee go.
My best endeavors shall be done herein.
Okay, now Gratiano is here, and we forgot about him. Who does not have a part?
Do we want to
Katrina.
talk
Katrina.
about what we
Katrina.
planned?
Yeah, you know what? We could, because we're moving to another thing. Yeah, why don't we? That's a really good idea, Duncan. And then
Yeah,
we
I
can
think so.
press Katrina into service, right? Okay.
Okay, so
What are we doing?
obviously this is a comic section, and it seems like Lancelot Gobbo is trying to make up his mind of whether to leave the service of the Jew, the merchant of Venice, and to go work for this other fellow.
Just one thing I would ask you to think about, Duncan. I'm wondering if the Merchant of Venice is actually Antonio, because he's the guy who's sending the ships out sailing and so forth, whereas Shylock is a moneylender.
Okay,
He mentions a Jew, doesn't he, Dave?
He does, and I mean that's another thing that we may want to think about as we go through this scene. I did a presentation on this like 30 years ago or something, and there was an article by a professor named Derek Cohen from York University in Toronto, and he says, like note that Shylock is not identified as Shylock, but as the Jew. First of all, everybody else has got a name, but he's the Jew. And Cohen points out that quite often here, like for instance in this scene, you've got Jew and devil right close up, cheek by jowl. And here, so I'm looking at line around 25, so 23 is a kind of devil. Okay, the Jew, my master, who is a kind of devil, and to run away from the Jew, I should be ruled by the fiend. Who, saving your reverence, is the devil himself. Certainly the Jew is the very devil incarnation. And so Cohen argues, and I think it's something that we need at least to consider, that the play is anti-Semitic. Now, other people argue against that, but Anne, to come back to your point, with Jew and devil twice here in this short period, kind of brought into what do you call it, juxtaposition. It's something to consider, right?
oh yeah, no doubt.
Dave, can I just add in there that if you look at the dramatis personae at the start,
Right.
it says Antonio, a merchant of Venice.
It does. Okay.
It says Shylock, a rich Jew.
Okay.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So then, but the humor is a bit different, isn't it? It's a little more crude than what we're used to, because basically the father's blind and the son is taking advantage of this, which probably wouldn't wash today in any sort of comedy review, but it then concludes with the son telling his father that the son is dead. Now he quickly tries to remedy things, but he does actually sort of drop that in.
Right. Well, he's teasing his father. I was interested in the two terms, sand blind and high gravel blind.
What lines are those, Duncan? Oh, yes, okay, 34.
Right in the beginning. Yeah, Gobo, right where it says, Master young man, Gobo, Master young man, I pray you, which is the way to master Jews? Lancelot, oh heavens, this is my true begotten father, who being more sand blind than high gravel blind, knows me not. I will try confusions with him.
I don't know.
So, I mean, I assume that sand blind actually means, in modern terms, actually means cataracts.
Could be. My note says purblind.
Yeah.
Purblind.
Yeah, let me look. I think it means almost blind. Let me do a search. I'll find that out.
Anonymous. With sand blind and gravel blind, compare stone blind, which was a common use for completely blind.
Okay, yeah,
So-
because I know that, okay, so right now I had a cataract operation and my right eye is just fine. This was in 2018. But my left eye has had, I'm pretty sure, has had protein growth in it. And so when I close my right eye and I look, it's almost like I'm in a sandstorm.
Wow.
Okay.
Probably
Interesting.
40%, at least 40% of the vision is obstructed. So that's probably why I was interested in this term sand blind.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could see that Lancelot Gobbo, we're not talking highbrow people here, could have a lot of fun making fun of the old man.
Again, referring back to the dramatis personae, Lancelot Gobbo is described as a clown.
Right.
It's described as what?
A clown.
A clown.
Oh, clown, yeah. Yes, yeah.
Let me do a search on that.
Servant to Shiloh.
Right. A clown used to be a sort of uneducated rustic, but let me do a search on that one. Pure blind, which describes sand blind, is interesting because pure blind used to mean purely blind, completely blind, but as time evolved, it came to mean partially blind. I did search on that, but let me look up the word clown here. I'll just do a search on that while you keep discussing. Right. Okay, so I've got two definitions for clown here. A comic entertainer, which we see, archaic, which is Shakespeare's time, an unsophisticated country person, a rustic. So, yeah. I guess it was always fun to make, I guess it was in good form to make fun of people from the country because they were thought to be a little bit slow and uneducated compared to the sophisticated city dwellers.
Right.
Yeah, I think our understanding nowadays of clown would be a gesture.
Correct.
I was just going to say exactly. You're just going to say that's exactly what I was Googling. I think that was his job.
Great minds at.
A very interesting note in my book when Lancelot, the father, old Gobbo, asks which way to the Jew's house. Um, said that, where is it? The question is ludicrous, for 5,000 Jews could live in the ghetto at Venice. But I think the point is this is for an English audience, and I wonder how many Jews there were in England at the time.
Uh-huh.
Hi, Jim. Just to let you know, we're rereading Act 2, Scene 2.
Thanks, Donna.
Well, that's an answerable question, I think.
And then there is the give me your blessing, which we talked about last week. I'm wondering if that's Jacob with his father Isaac, right? Give me your blessing, where he steals the blessing from Esau. I don't. It's just that Jacob was mentioned in a previous scene, so I don't know if Shakespeare had Jacob on the brain or not.
Let's see, I'm gonna search on the question of how many Jews lived in London during Shakespeare time.
Mhm.
I'm trying anyway. Huh. Well, this is what they say. Despite the expulsion of the Jews in the Middle Ages, a small group of Portuguese Jews, comprised of just under 100 people, survived in London by living quiet lives and mostly avoiding trouble with authorities. Elizabethan London was also home to a small number of Jewish converts to Christianity. So actually, for what it's worth, for random knowledge, it says that actually the Jewish community in London was transformed between 1880 and 1914 with the expulsion of, with 150,000 East European and Russian Jewish refugees. So that would have been the first big influx. And according to Cedar Crest College, whatever that is, it is unlikely that Shakespeare ever met a Jew. Edward I banished them from England in 1290.
Huh.
It is possible he met Rodrigo Lopez, a chastised Jew who was hung for trying to poison Queen Elizabeth. Hmm. From 1290 until the middle of the 17th century, the Jews were entirely excluded from England. Every prejudice against them was free to flourish unchecked.
Wow.
Along with this, Jews were put in a category with the sodomites of the time.
Oh,
Hmm.
Hmm. Well, anyway, it certainly shows that Shakespeare was in no danger of losing any significant part of his audience by being scurrilously anti-Semitic, which I say, though, I no longer, or I cannot say that with total confidence that that was his purpose.
I guess it sort of leads to a larger issue, which is maybe it makes us uncomfortable because here we are both, all of us who are attending multiple reading discussion sessions. And that is, I think that while on the whole, great art is highly moral, it isn't always so. And I think of Spenser's Fairy Queen, for instance, and some of the I took that in a Catholic college, St. Michael's College at the University of Toronto, and it was pretty clear that Spenser was very anti-Catholic, and that shows up in the Fairy Queen.
Right.
Nonetheless, because it was great art, it was offered on the curriculum at St. Mike's College, the Catholic institution. And I mean, I think I've said this before, perhaps not with this particular group, but Wagner has been performed in Jerusalem. So
Well, it's a perennial question.
it is.
And it really depends upon, what goes into the pot called great art.
Correct.
I mean, to me, great art is mainly that which helps us perceive in a new way
Right.
and does not have to be moral. That to be is but if it helps us see in a new way, then it's great. It's great.
But Duncan, the problem is, it doesn't have to be moral, but can great art be immoral? Can it make us see in a new way, which is not a good way?
Well, you'd have to bring me an example. So if you're saying here with the Merchant of Venice, since we're brought smack up against anti-Semiticism. I mean, look what we've learned in the last 10 minutes about Jews in Europe and Jews in England. I mean, I certainly did not know that Jews were pretty much excluded from England for 400 years,
True.
except for those very small numbers that could somehow eke out an existence within London. And I did not know that a big influx of Jews came during the war refugees from Central Europe and from Russia.
If you wanted an example, Duncan, what do you do with somebody like Rudyard Kipling? So I've not been colonized, but I'm wondering how the Irish people who are part of the group would think of an arch imperialist like Rudyard Kipling, who after all won a Nobel Prize for literature.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I don't know. I'm not sure. It makes me uncomfortable. I guess I would say that.
I suppose, Dave, and everyone else, you could admire somebody without necessarily agreeing with them or liking them.
Yeah, that's a good distinction. That's a good distinction, Jim. So you could look at the art and go like, this is very good art, but I'm not liking where this highly wrought art is leading me. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, in the movie world, the D.W. Griffith movie, Birth of a Nation,
Correct. Right. Good example.
which is considered a masterpiece, except that, morally speaking, it's an abomination.
Right.
But it's a masterpiece because it brought in so many techniques, which are still being exploited and developed to this very day, 100 years later.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, and to take Jim's distinction, to the service of a bad end. But I mean, yeah, he's absolutely right. That's a great example.
Well, I'll bring up a more modern example, perhaps a little bit more problematic, which is the total rejection of Woody Allen in some circles.
Right. Right. Good point.
That places will not even show his movies.
Right.
Roman Polanski being another.
Correct.
And Kevin Spacey as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm glad that we touched on this early in the play. I think these are important issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm not sure how often this play is performed because of the issues it raises. Or if a theater, so there, we in Canada we have a Shakespearean theater at a place called Stratford, Ontario, and I'm not sure how often this hits the stage in Stratford. And yet, if you are committed to seeing the performance of all of Shakespeare's works, I guess it has to be, at some point in the rotation.
Hmm. Another way to handle this is just in the reframing of an outside group, a minority group
Right.
of any sort, and that to a certain extent, Shakespeare, I think, is doing a service in showing how. I mean, he's let us know early in the play why Shylock might be driven to, make such a bargain with Antonio. As he sees it a way to avenge himself of the many insults that Antonio has previously visited upon him.
Right.
Is he commenting on how Jews were perceived at the time, as against saying this is what it is?
Fair enough.
Because we must look at Bassanio wasted all his money. He's Christian. A Christian city. Is he also commenting on how wasteful we are?
I don't know if any of you went to the Facebook page and saw that little diagram that I put up with the last announcement.
Oh, yeah, yes.
All the different themes that are in. That's a very interesting diagram, really.
It is, yeah. I did see that today. Bring it up there. Also, I think it would be important to find out what the source, of the play was. Was this, like so many of Shakespeare's plays, another much more ancient work that was being reworked? And another comment would be that undoubtedly in Venice itself, there probably were more Jewish moneylenders and businessmen. I know that in Trieste, which is a much smaller place, that actually the Central European Jews control quite a bit in Trieste, and that Trieste was actually a conduit for business and people from Central Europe and Italy into the Palestine area. Anyway,
if we move on, there's it's 1:49. It starts in my edition. It's Lancelot Gobble. Father, and I cannot get a service. No, I have narrow tongue in my head. I'll read the whole thing because I'm hoping somebody can tell me what it means. Well, if any man in Italy have a fair table which does offer to swear upon a book, I shall have good fortune. Go to. Here's a simple line of life. Here's a small trifle of wives. Alas, 15 wives is nothing. 11 widows and 9 maids is a simple coming in for one man. And then to escape drowning thrice, and to be in peril of my life with the edge of a feather bed. Here are simple scapes. Well, if fortune be a woman, she's a good wench for this gear. Father, come. I'll take my leave of the Jew in a twinkling. Can anybody make heads or tails of that? Do you have helpful notes?
Okay. So what my notes say is I cannot get service ... Head. Lancelot is mocking his father, who thought he would never get a decent job.
Okay.
And then, if any man in Italy ... Fortune. These confusing words mean that Lancelot thinks he will have good fortune. And then table, part of the palm of the hand. Lancelot is going to tell his own future by examining his palm.
Okay.
And then go to ... this year. Lancelot is reading his own future in his palm.
Okay.
And then a simple coming in. A small income. Lancelot, like Bassanio, thinks of marriage as a means of making money. And then to be in peril ... scrapes. Lancelot says that whatever scrapes he gets into will be small, harmless ones. And then finally, a good wench for this gear, a good woman for this business. He is probably practicing fortune for what she will give. Sorry, he is probably praising fortune for what she will give him or has just given him.
That is very helpful. Thank you. What edition have you got, Jim?
Good. It's a school edition.
Well,
Can you
that's wonderful.
I'll call it out to you. Drama for Schools, the Educational Company of Ireland.
Okay.
I see it has Al Pacino on the front cover.
Yeah, that's right.
Dave, can I go back to your question about the source of the play?
It was Duncan's, but it was a good question.
Sorry, Duncan asked it. Yeah, it's I have a website here, the Royal Shakespeare Company, and it says Il Pecorone, Pecorone. It goes on. There are many ancient legends and folk tales from around the world in which a bargain is struck with a bond of human flesh as security. One version of the story is told by the Italian Ser Giovanni Fiorentino in his collection of tales Il Pecorone, which means the big sheep or the simpleton. He wrote this in the late 14th century and was printed in 1558. This Italian and untranslated version is Shakespeare's main source for the play. According to Ser Giovanni, the story begins with the wealthy merchant Ansaldo equipping his godson with a richly laden ship to trade abroad. The young man, Gianetto, finds himself in the port of Belmont, where he tries to win the hand of the lady. Success can only be won if the wooer manages to spend a whole night with her. Failure is punished with the loss of all possessions, and it goes on and goes on. But I just thought that seemed to be very definite that this was the source, according to the Royal Shakespeare Company.
Is there a Jewish element in that as well?
It doesn't say anything about that.
Okay.
Just flicking through it here quickly. It says Shakespeare changes the way in which his Lady of Belmont is to be won. Instead of gaining access to the lady's bed, the successful wooer must make the right choice from among 3 caskets. We talked about that last time.
Mm-hmm.
The most recent English version available to Shakespeare is that in the 1595 translation of the medieval collection of stories, the Gesta Romanorum.
I'm just flipping through the introduction to mine, and I guess El Pecorone does contain a wicked Jew, according to this. I'm in the I'm in the Arden Shakespeare edition,
Okay.
Mhm.
and it says
Just
judging
to
from
add,
the. Sorry, go
sorry,
ahead.
Dave, just to add to that, the final paragraph here says the Jew. Shakespeare was not the first Elizabethan playwright to place a Jew at the center of this drama.
Yeah.
15,
It's
in
again
15
Christopher Marlowe, right? Jew of
yes,
Malta?
well
Yeah.
done. In 1579, Stephen Gosson referred to a play called The Jew, which he describes as showing the greediness of worldly choosers and the bloody minds of usurers. That play has not survived, unlike Christopher Marlowe's The Jew of Malta.
Yeah. Might be interesting to look into that.
Yeah.
It's how it played in London.
It says Marlowe's play was a great success and must
Yeah.
have haunted Shakespeare's imagination long after its first performance. Barabbas, the unscrupulous cynic of Marlowe's grimly comic drama, is very different from Shylock, although both have nubile daughters and heaps of gold.
Mhm.
There's nothing like a little bit of nubility on a Friday night, I always say.
Or afternoon, as the case may be,
As the
depending.
case may be, yeah.
Is that a kind of a common theme, a Jewish man having a nubile daughter?
Interesting.
You know that film? Have you ever seen that film, Trainspotting?
Yes.
Yes. Mhm.
There's in the first there's there's Trainspotting 1 and Trainspotting 2, but in the first one, when they rob them or when they do the drug deal and they have the money, one of the guys says, Bud, he says, I just want to marry a Jewish princess. That's what makes me speculate that might be the case.
Interesting.
Well, you're dealing in two mythologies all at the same time, and one is the Jewish princess is generally the spoiled daughter of a Jewish family, who is so used to her parents doing everything for her that when she is dealing with her boyfriends or husband, that she gets on her high horse frequently because they're not treating her like royalty.
Okay.
So that's one, urban version of that. The other urban version is that young Jewish women are sexually very liberal and are constantly tempting young, innocent Christian boys.
Or John the Baptist, even with Salome. Wasn't she a
Yes.
Jewish princess?
You just check.
We're certainly down rabbit holes tonight, that's for sure.
We are and this plays open it up. Okay. I will research Salome in terms of religion. Granddaughter of Herod the Great. So Herod the Great was a Jewish king, was he not? Who was allied with the Romans? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He's the king of the Jews, but I think he's what you would call nowadays a collaborator.
Right. Okay. Okay. Right. Good.
And Salome used dance for him. That was his thing. But
Yes.
in reward for that, she wanted the head of John the Baptist, which he duly delivered.
Yeah.
I remember the story, but I can't recall the reason. Why did she want the head of John the Baptist on a plate?
Because he refused her attention.
Yeah.
Was it her or was it her mother's attention?
I assumed it was her attention.
I don't know either. Here, you know what? I've got it on the screen here. Let me just check it out.
Well, like they say, hell hath no fury.
Yeah.
Hell have no fury like
a woman
scorned.
scorned.
Scorned, yeah.
Looked like a Jewess scorned.
Okay, so here it is. According to the Gospel of Mark, Herodias, that's Salome's mother, bore a grudge against John for stating that Herod's marriage to her was unlawful. Herodias' daughter, who danced before Herod at his birthday celebration, was told she could ask anything in return for it. After consulting with her mother, the girl is said to have asked for the head of John the Baptist. Okay, so there are two generations of implication here.
Wow.
Here we are.
Yes, it all comes back now.
It does, yes.
Look at all the different stereotypes we've been able to generate in this discussion.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, and these are actually have more control of our thinking than we like to give credence to.
Oh, that is so true. That is so
It's
very
all
true.
underground. It's like underground stuff going on.
So we actually, I've just navigated away. We haven't even talked about Hugh of Lincoln in this business, but that would certainly be something that would underlie the attitude of the Brits, of the English, I guess, in particular, to this play. And Hugh of Lincoln became a saint. And I don't know if he ever existed, but the myth was that he had been killed by Jews because as a sacrifice.
Oh, the blood sacrifice.
The blood libel, exactly right. It's the blood libel. Okay, and I'm wondering if that appears. Is that in one of the Canterbury Tales? Is that in one of the Nuns' Tales? Okay. All right. Yes, here it is. The Hugh story is referenced by Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales in the Prioress's Tale. Christopher Marlowe also, here we go, full circle, also apparently refers to this story in The Jew of Malta, where Friar Giacomo at the end of Act 3 asks of a Jew, what? Has he crucified a child? So yeah. So I guess the moral of the story is tug on the string and lots of stuff comes tumbling out of the closet.
It's almost like a Jungian exploration of the of unconscious and of archetypes that are half formed and all that. Correct. I think the problem is that the world is so specific that the human mind becomes overwhelmed and therefore, looks for these stereotypes to kind of organize stuff.
Yeah.
It's like
that's a good point. That's a good point, because we are our brains are kind of like filing cabinets, aren't they? And so we've got these file folders and we make generalizations kind of in order to navigate the world. And the generalizations often work quite nicely, but sometimes they work very poorly, particularly if you are a victim of an unjust generalization.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
But anyway, we have Lancelot Gobbo, and basically that whole comic scene has a lot to do with he is working for the Jew, but he would like to not work for the Jew. But he's having trouble finding another job. Did I get that right? Kind of.
Yeah, there's a tug and pull between his conscience and the fiend, his conscience and the fiend. But then he gets a job easily enough. Bassanio says, "You're hired,"
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and that he's already kind of talked to Shylock about it.
Okay. So he thinks he's having trouble getting a job. Then he actually gets a job. Well, I think we need to proceed then, because we need to find out why
Okay.
Shylock would agree to that and why Bassanio wants that.
Right. And I agree with you, and I also wish to compliment you on your deft touch in getting us back on track here. That was nicely that was nicely done.
My two specialties is getting us off track and getting us on
track. I think I only have one half of that. It's getting us off track. So we need people like you and Donna to kind of keep us focused. Okay, so it's Gratiano, and did you say, Katrina, that you would read Gratiano?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sounds good. So take it away.
Okay, where is your master?
Yonder, sir, he walks.
Signor Bassanio,
Gratiano,
I have a suit to you.
you have obtained it.
You must not deny me. I must go with you to Belmont.
Why then you must. But hear thee, Gratiano, thou art too wild, too rude, too bold of voice. Parts that become thee happily enough, and in such eyes as ours appear not false. But where thou art not known, why there they show something too liberal. Pray take pain to allay with some cold drops of modesty thy skipping spirit, lest through thy wild behavior I be misconstrued in the place I go to and lose my hopes.
Construed.
It's construed.
You know, it's not that way in my text.
Oh,
Ah,
I
okay.
have MISCONST apostrophe RED.
That's what I have too.
that's
Yeah, there we are,
misconstrued.
Jim.
I
And if-
misconstrued.
Okay, and you know, I'm thinking, Jim, if you got Al Pacino on the cover of yours, that's got to be the authoritative text.
Yeah, who can argue with good old Al?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
But it does mean misconstrued. Obviously, it's just written in a very clumsy way here. Anyway, sorry, Gratiano, take it away, Signor Bassanio.
Signor Bassanio, hear me. If I do not put on a sober habit and talk with respect and swear but now and then, wear prayer books in my pocket, look demurely, nay more, while grace is saying, hood mine eyes, thus with my hat and sigh and say amen, use all the observance of civility like one well studied in a sad ostent, to please his grandam, never trust me more.
Well, we shall see your bearing.
Nay, but I bar tonight, you shall not gauge me by what we do tonight.
No, that were pity. I should entreat you rather to put on your boldest suit of mirth, for we have friends that propose.
Purpose.
Yeah, you know what? It is purpose. That purpose merriment. But fare you well, I have some business.
And I must to Lorenzo and the rest, but we will visit you at supper time.
Yeah.
Exeunt.
Okay,
Oh, when we got through that scene.
good.
One scene, which we read last week also.
We did.
Very interesting.
So where's the part about Bassanio offering Lancelot a job? And
Okay.
Shakespeare agreed.
Yes, okay. I'll find it. Okay, it's about line 137 in mine. So you're going back a bit. I know thee well, thou hast obtained thy suit. Shylock, thy master, spoke with me this day and have preferred thee, if it be preferment to you to leave a rich Jew's service to become the follower of so poor a gentleman. Betty says, yeah, thou has obtained thy suit.
Huh, okay.
There's
Very
also the
good.
line further on where it says, Father, come, I'll take my leave of the Jew in the twinkling of an eye.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, I'm going to assume, like in many cases of this sort, for a member of the dominant society to go to work for a member of a despised minority, that person in themselves must typically have poor job prospects.
You know. Was again another wormhole? It makes me think, was that part of the Nuremberg laws that were passed in Nazi Germany after the Nazis ascended to power, that a non-Jew could not work for a Jew? So for instance, a Jewish household could not hire an Aryan domestic. Does anybody know?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, unfortunately I have my big tome on all the laws. I got a book that goes through all the laws and what year they were passed and what they meant. But yeah, that undoubtedly would at some point have entered into the Nazi legal system, that a
Okay,
Aryan could not work for a Jew.
right, that makes sense.
All right. I'm still left with why would Antonio want to hire Lancelot Gobbo?
Bassanio.
It's Bassanio, yeah.
Bassanio, okay. And why would Shylock want to give him up? But I'll just
And
put
what
that in.
relevance does it have? I want to know.
What
Hmm.
relevance?
What relevance does
Yeah, good question.
All right. Well, maybe we're going to find out, since we're moving into
Okay.
a scene involving Jessica and her father.
Anne, could you repeat your statement? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
I'm just wondering what relevance it has to the overall story.
Good point. Yeah.
Uh,
So sorry that I missed that. I was, as you can imagine, I was feverishly scanning the Nuremberg laws, and yes,
And?
no Aryan or German woman under 45 could work in a Jewish household.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it may have had to do with the other law, which was which forbade marriages and extramarital intercourse between Jews and Germans, and that was the law for the protection of German blood.
mm,
The purity of the blood.
Yes, exactly, and it's why Hitler looked upon the no offense, Donna, but looked upon the Americans, and it would be Canadians too, obviously, as mongrel races.
Well, I'm a true-blooded Celt, so I don't take any offense.
There you are.
And
All right. Okay.
hmm.
So, how about would you take on Jessica then, Katrina, in the next one?
Sure.
For Lancelot, I could do. I read very little the last scene, so I could do that. Jim, how about you take that, Jim? Lancelot.
Lancelot. Okay, Dave, I will, yeah.
Scene 3 in Venice. Enter Jessica and Lancelot the clown.
Yeah, this is very short.
Yeah.
Are we ready?
Yep.
I'm sorry thou wilt leave my father so. Our house is hell, and thou, a merry devil, didst rob it of some taste of tediousness. But fare thee well. There's a ducat for thee, and Lancelot, soon at supper shalt thou see Lorenzo, who is thy new master's guest. Give him this letter. Do it secretly, and so farewell. I would not have my father see me talk with thee.
Adieu. Here's exhibit my tongue, most beautiful pagan, most sweet Jew. If a Christian do not play the knave and get thee, I am much deceived. But a Jew, these foolish drops do something drown my manly spirit. A Jew.
Farewell, good Lancelot. Alack, what heinous sin is it in me to be ashamed to be my father's child. But though I am a daughter to his blood, I am not to his manners. Oh, Lorenzo, if thou keep promise, I shall end this strife, become a Christian, and thy loving wife.
Next.
Mhm. It seems pretty straight ahead.
Mhm.
Jessica is obviously pretty tired of her outcast status and is ready to assimilate.
And Lorenzo is in love with her.
Okay, so you help me out. Who is Lorenzo?
He's a friend of Bassanio's, an artist and a Christian.
Oh, okay.
More than I have, Anne. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
I was doing my homework all afternoon as I
I
was
can
watching
see
the
that. Well,
Olympics.
well done. Yeah.
Good for you, Anne.
All I've got on Lorenzo is that he was in love with Jessica. And it tells us no more about it. So,
Do we want to move on to the next scene then?
yeah, we just have time, I think.
Okay, yeah,
Yep.
that's right. It's a short one. It's not a short one. So if I do Graziano, Duncan, can you do Lorenzo?
Mm-hmm.
Salario, can you do that, Jim?
Okay.
And Katrina, can you do Solanio? I'm just
Uh,
trying to give a break to the heavy hitters from the last scene who did Gobble and Old
Yeah.
Gobble. So
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
So Solano as opposed to Solario. Solano.
Salarino and Solanio.
I know. Remember, we had that discussion.
Yes,
That's
we
right.
had
Yeah.
that
It's
discussion
written
earlier.
differently in your books. Yeah. So yeah, Salario or Salarino, whoever that is. Yeah, you're the same person. That's right. Okay.
Hold on. Am I two people, Dave?
You aren't actually. Are you? Did you get the role Salario?
Yes.
Okay, but in Dunna's edition, he's called
Salarino.
Salarino. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if
Okay.
you read the role of Salario, you're good.
Okay. Perfect.
And then I can't remember who Solanio is, but we'll yeah.
That's me.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, we're ready.
take it away, Lorenzo.
The same, a street, enter Gratiano, Lorenzo, Salarino, and Salanio. Lorenzo, nay, we shall slink away in supper time, disguise us at our lodging, and return all in an hour.
We've not made good preparation.
We have not spoke as yet of torchbearers.
Oh, tis vile unless it may be quaintly ordered, and better in my mind not undertook.
'Tis now but 4 o'clock. We have 2 hours to furnish us.
Enter Lancelot with a letter. Ah, sorry, Anne. Or did we get? No, we didn't. Anne, can you do Lancelot again? My apologies.
You're fine. And it shall please you to break off this, shall seem to signify. Duncan?
Another hand in faith is a fair hand, and wider than the paper it writ on is the fair hand that writ.
Love news and faith.
By your leave, sir.
Whither goest thou?
Marry, sir, to bid my old master the Jew to sup tonight with my new master the Christian.
Hold there. And take this. Tell gentle Jessica, I will not fail her. Speak it privately. Go, gentlemen. Will you prepare for this mass tonight? I am provided of a torchbearer.
Aye, marry, I'll be gone about it straight.
And so will I.
Meet me in Gratiano at Gratiano's lodging some hour hence.
'Tis good we do so.
Exit Solario and Solanio. Was not that the letter from fair Jessica?
You must need tell thee all. She has directed how I should take her from her father's house with gold and jewels she's furnished with. What pages suit she has in readiness. If e'er the Jew her father come to heaven, it will be for his gentle daughter's sake, and never dare misfortune cross her foot, unless she do it under this excuse, that she is issue to a faithless Jew. Come, go with me. Peruse this as thou goest. Fair Jessica shall be my torchbearer.
Hmm.
Okay, help me put a few pieces together. Who did the young Gobbo leave Shylock's home to go work for?
Bassanio.
Bassanio.
Bassanio. And what is the relationship between Bassanio and Lorenzo?
Friends.
Friends. Is it possible that this is the reason that Bassanio wanted the young Gobbo to go to work for him? Or among the reasons? So Gobbo could act as a go-between?
Good question.
Mhm.
Ah,
So anyway, in scene 4, it's largely the guy's talking about they're going to have some male party going on that night.
Yes, yes, wearing masks, I guess, right? Disguises at my lodging.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was actually asking his not sophisticated friend to be pretty wild tonight.
Yeah, right. And it's interesting too, like there where Launcelot's goal is marry sir to bid my old master the Jew to sup tonight with my new master the Christian, and we found out in a previous scene that Shylock will do most things, but he won't dine with Christians.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
I will buy with you, sell with you, talk with you, walk with you, and so following, but I will not eat with you, drink with you, nor pray with you. That's Act 1, Scene 3, line about 30.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's drawn out very clearly. So what does it mean to bid my old master, the Jew, to sup with my new master, the Christian?
Yeah,
His new master is Bassanio, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Bassanio was there when Shylock refused the earlier dinner invitation, right?
I think so.
Anyway, in my memory, he was there.
Yes, it is. No, it is. If it please you to dine with us, that's Bassanio says that, and the line that I read was from Shylock. I mean, he prefaces it by saying, "Yes, to smell pork, to eat of the habitation which your prophet the Nazarite conjured the devil into," and then he said, "I will buy with you, sell with you," and so forth. So that's directly addressed to Bassanio. They're the only people on stage, I believe, because Antonio enters right after that. So yeah.
Okay. Well, at the end of the session today, if you remind me and you have 2 or 3 minutes of forbearance, I'll tell you a story illustrating the difficulty of person of one religion with dietary restrictions going and dining outside. It's a very modern, amusing, and horrifying story.
Right.
Hmm.
Yes, and it hits home close to me because my brother, who's Muslim, flew in last night from the Middle East. I picked him up at the airport, and I couldn't offer him. And I brought him, and I said, "Help yourself in the fridge." Unfortunately, the only meat that we've got cooked is pork, but you can have anything else. It's just the way it goes, you know. That's what we had for supper, and I picked him up later at the airport. So yes, we live it in my family.
Okay.
So I think we're right for your story, Duncan.
Yes. Let's hear
Okay.
this.
Okay, so my story takes place in Japan when I was a intercultural communications trainer, and I really had a bunch of smart people. I was teaching them English, and I was also teaching them on how to adjust to doing business in a foreign country and all that kind of stuff. And one of my best students, this fellow by the name of Hisouchi, was telling me that he was to arrange for a dinner for the oil minister. For it was at least Saudi Arabia, if not OPEC. Anyway, the guy was a big deal, and of course, it was told him, in the beginning, no pork, none, zero. So Hisuchi-san says, so I went to all the hotels, and I talked to them, and I talked to the chefs, and I talked to the waiters, and we got it all arranged. And then the oil minister arrived in Japan, and we went to the hotel New Otani, and it was near dinner time, and we went down to dinner, and we were seated at the table, and the waiter comes, and the waiter serves the soup and puts it on the oil minister's plate. And Hisuchi was right there. And what does he see floating on top of the soup bowl? Bacon. And so Hisuchi-san said, he said it was very, very dangerous for me to do, but I just kind of distracted the oil minister and removed the soup. And he said, this is really important. This could have cost the company untold millions of dollars. Not to mention being an international scandal. So, yeah, these dietary things you got to be really careful with.
What did he do to distract the oil minister, Duncan?
I think that he did something, really a bit odd, but he said, "Oh, Mr. Oil Minister, please, I think I see something in your soup which shouldn't be there," and very deftly moved it away. The thing about Hisuchi was he was a very polished fellow, and so even in awkward situations, he was able to do things with a certain deftness and fluidity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it was a good lesson.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here we
Indeed.
go. Now we're in Act 2, Scene 4, which I
Yeah.
guess is where we will continue next time.
Exactly. Brilliant.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody. This is, as always,
Thank you.
a good session. Yeah, take care.
Excellent.
Next
Good
week.
night,
Take care.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.